Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join us for our dearly departed review for round 28. First of all, apologies. It's Tuesday. Often this show gets out on a Monday, sometimes even earlier, doesn't it? But it's been a bit of a crazy weekend with the news cycle. Obviously, we'll get into Chris Wilder as we look at Sheffield United later in the show. That was happening on Friday. We had Kenny Jackett going on Sunday. Then I Talk Karanka stuff started breaking. And I had to do the Blue Monday podcast as well on Sunday night. And then Lee Bowyer. It's been a busy few days. So this has just got shuffled along by possible breaking news happening. So hopefully, maybe 24 hours removed, our perspective is super sharp on the weekend round 28 action for our dearly departed, who of course are the teams that I covered in the Championship. The old clever buggers got themselves promoted, didn't they? So we're still keeping in touch whilst they are up in the Premier League. That of course is from the 18-19 season, Sheffield United and Aston Villa, and from the 19-20 season, Leeds, West Brom and Fulham. We're going to review every single game. Not much in the way of wins this weekend, let's just say. Before we do, we must say thank you to Coyle, our fan sponsor. Dearly departed, also known as Ben, couldn't bear to lose. It's absolutely not, Jay. You know the score here. Thank you for Jay. He got involved over on Patreon. You can do the same. Let's have a look at the results. Blue Bells, as ever, by the dearly departed games. Newcastle 1, Villa 1. Leeds 0, Chelsea 0. That's as good as it's going to get, guys. A couple of draws there for our highest ranked teams. And then some defeats coming. Palace 1, Baggies 0. Everton 1, Burnley 2. Then it was Fulham 0, Man City 3. Southampton 1, Brighton 2. And, ouch, Leicester 5, Sheffield United 0. But many more things off the pitch to discuss with that one. And the remaining 3 games, Arsenal 2, Spurs 1. Manchester United 1, West Ham 0. Wolves 0, Liverpool 1. We will, as ever, go from the highest ranked team down to the lowest. And, of course, we will touch on the off-field, chaos at Sheffield United. Right, here we go. On Friday night, wasn't it? Who was I covering? I was covering Brentford and Blackburn that night, wasn't I? Hey, so much going on, dearie me. It was Newcastle 1, Aston Villa 1. And really with the dearly departed hat on, we were looking for Aston Villa to do Fulham a favour, essentially, and see if they could go and beat Newcastle. And they very nearly did, taking the lead late in the game, but then an even later equaliser. And I'm normally of the view that 0 points to 1 point, it's 1 to 3 that's the big jump worth having. But in Newcastle's predicament, 0 to 1 is actually well worth having, isn't it? So bit of a sense as well of, are we having a bit of a fizzle at Villa, or are they just missing Captain Jack, I wonder? Speaking of which, there are the teams. Martinez, El Mohammadi, Konza, Mings and Target. Still no cash in the starting lineup. McGinn, Louise, Ramsey. Still no Ross Barkley in the starting lineup. Traore, Watkins and Trezeguet. For Newcastle, look at the outs down the bottom there. Almiron, St. Maximin and Wilson. They got no strikers. Well, I say they got no strikers. There's Joe Linton, who cost a fortune. And Dwight Gale, who's, as us Championship fans would recognise, a bit of a goal machine, but their main strikers are all injured. Hey, typical Premier League conversation this, isn't it? Dubravka in goal for them. Kraft, Lascelles, Clark, Dummett, Hayden, Shelvey, Willock, Joe Linton, Fraser and Gale. So, a little bit of a sense, because I did do West Brom Newcastle, where it really was back four, 3 holders, sit 7 there. Little bit of a sense that a touch more attempt to go and try and win this game from Steve Bruce. But Steve Bruce, of course, former Villa manager. A draw is what they come away with. bit of a lucky goal, actually. Cross comes in from target from the left. Watkins, I guess he's trying to flick it into that big gap to the keeper's left there, Dubravka. It's going to deflect off Clark, completely change direction. I think it even goes barring in, doesn't it, to Dubravka's right-hand side. So a bit of a fortuitous deflection. We always play, don't we? Oh, where's the worst place that could go? And 9 times out of 10, it seems to go in the worst place it could go with these deflections, doesn't it? Certainly for the goals. I guess that stands to reason, doesn't it? So, Villa looking like they're going to get a sort of needed win without Jack Grealish in the team. But Jamal Lascelles, look at that. He's just the wrong side. Is that Konza? Number 6? Don't think it is. Douglas Luiz, isn't it? I think I've got my players correct there. But wrong side anyway. And Lascelles manages to head in the equaliser. And I suppose from a Villa point of view, just the worry is now that that really brilliant start to the season, you just don't want, as I always call it, the beach. You don't want to be heading towards the beach with 5 games to go and Europe's not really on the horizon and too high for relegation and not many wins coming. It would have been a really nice win just to pick things up and to help our friends Fulham out down in the bottom 3. But yeah, not quite there, is it? Fairly tight, 51-49 on the possession. I suppose 15 shots to 12, 6 shots to 3, 2 big chances apiece. So there were chances for both. Newcastle on the XG actually in better shape there, 1.51 to 1.2. It does have the air of a game that Villa might have won earlier in the season, doesn't it? At their best, Villa win tight games, don't they? They keep it tight at the back, and they've got enough. Well, it was built around Grealish and Barkley, wasn't it? Particularly earlier in the season, but neither of them there in this one. What does that do to the table? Villa in 9th. You can see, yeah, just 1 win in 5. Small drop off. I mean, the points total's excellent, and we say this every week. Big picture, Villa are doing great, but with 11 games to go, they just don't want things to start tailing off, and then a good season, 13, 14, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Want to finish in the top half, don't they, Villa? So I think it's getting Cash and Grealish back in and having a little push towards the end of the season. Newcastle, reasonable enough result for them. We need to parlay that into the fact that Brighton had a big win, but Fulham lost. And it's very, very tight down the bottom there. We talk about this as it pertains to Fulham. But point scoring is slow down the bottom. And Newcastle are at points parity, 28 for 28. That seems to be the standard. Can you get 38 points or around there to stay up? Remember, last 10 years, it's been 36.1. So even less than 38. So it is a snail race, and this is a point. So it's good news for Newcastle in that regard. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Newcastle 1, Aston Villa 1. And on Saturday lunchtime, it was Leeds 0, Chelsea 0. And is there a sense from you Leeds fans? Oh, kind of, we'll take that. Leeds very rarely draw, don't they, in the Premier League? And some kind of sense. I saw a thing about Phil Hay, the Leeds journalist, about can they, absorb some of these defeats into draws and, lose fewer games? And I mean, it comes back to the discussion we've had many times about the kind of Bielsa all or nothing. If you take something away here, you lose it there. So I'm sure that'll never go away, that conversation. But to my initial question, which I've kind of gone away from, Leeds fans probably almost happy with this type of result where they play against a traditionally sort of Champions League team, that's been entrenched in the Premier League for years with the expensive squad. Go toe-to-toe, get a clean sheet, get a point. It's quite a good result for Leeds, I think. I was concerned. I thought they would lose this one. I predicted in my pre-match. So it's quite a, it's something Leeds haven't really done this season, is it? Where, there's been thrilling wins and annoying defeats and not really been hammered as such. This was Manchester United one, wasn't there? But this feels like fairly unique. So despite the lack of goals, I'm eager to talk about it. Meslier in goal, Ailing, Alioski, the fullback, Struijk and Llorente means Liam Cooper wasn't around. Robin Koch, you can see down the bottom there, still away off. We think Calvin Phillips is the playmaker. Rafinha and Harrison, Roberts and Dallas. Pat Bamford up top is going to go off injured. And Pat Bamford has been as consistent as you like since those injury troubles in his first season in 18-19 for Leeds. He's played an absolute ton of minutes, hasn't he? So it's very rare that he's not around for Leeds. We'll see whether that's Rodrigo. I think Rodrigo filled the void this game, or Tyler Roberts, or what have you going forward. For Chelsea, Mendy, Azpilicueta, Christensen, Rudiger, Chilwell, Kante, Jorginho, Pulisic, Ziyech, Mount and Havertz was the team. For Thomas Tuchel, who is undefeated as Chelsea manager. Not much in the way of chances. Spot the ball there. It's just bouncing off the bar. So, this would have been a very odd goal had it have ended up going in. Ailing has kicked it against Llorente. Ailing's on the cover from right back coming across. Tries to clear left-footed, I think. Smacks Llorente. Loops up in the air. Mellier's done. He's not expecting that to happen. Hits the bar and comes back. You'll take that, though, won't you? When they drop in the net over the keeper's head, it's not going to be your day. And Leeds hit the post, or the bar rather, themselves here. Roberts kind of floaty chipped shot there, and Mendy, I think, gets a hand on it. So it's a good save by the Chelsea keeper. Good save again here by Mendy. It's Rodrigo, is it in there? No, it's not. Is that Rafinha? I can't see 18 there. Doesn't quite get hold of the shot, and Mendy going the other way makes the save. So it's 0-0. It's competitive from Leeds. Rare to see them have such little possession, isn't it, in terms of 37%. Chelsea, 8 shots to 4, but 1 big chance apiece. If you look at the possession and the shot count, you're with Chelsea. If you look at the corner count, territory and stuff, you're with Leeds there. It's a tight game. The XG has got Chelsea 1.09. What is worth saying about the XG there, Leeds on 0.49. That is rare for Leeds, isn't it, to have such little on the chance creation there. So, maybe it speaks well of Chelsea, but it's toe-to-toe, isn't it? And, you've got both sides hitting the post. So, you let me know in the comments. I'd probably be fairly happy with this, were I a Leeds fan, when you go really big picture and, where people have come from and, getting promoted out of the Championship without parachute money and going against Abramovich's Champions League Chelsea. It works for me, is all I will say. Chelsea up there in 4th, unbeaten with Tuchel. Leeds now move on to 36 points with 10 games to go. They are 10 clear of Fulham with a game in hand. I know we still have to kind of glance down. What we do have now, though, is a 5-point gap between Leeds and the top half. So whether or not it's now a case of can Leeds finish top of the bottom half? Because we were looking at, for both Villa and Leeds, can they get in the top half? But again, and we always need to do this, I know it gets a bit tiresome, we need to go back big picture and say, look, the task this year was to establish Leeds in the Premier League, to improve the squad a little bit, with some players that not the type where Bielsa's going to coach them into being way, way better than, and above themselves. We assume he's going to do that anyway. But, I think Rodrigo and Koch and Rafinha, I think that ticks those boxes. Just if you'd said to Leeds fans, look, we're 10 to go, 12th, 10 points off relegation, drawing 0-0 with Chelsea. Everything's all right, really, isn't it? It'd just be nice. Same with Villa, actually. Just can we get 3 more wins in this last 10 and bump up that table a little bit? That would be all good. But I think, all things considered, not a bad weekend for Leeds. You let me know what you think in the comments on Leeds 0, Chelsea 0. It was Fulham 0, Manchester City 3. And what I'm hoping with my dearly departed hat on is that we saw this one coming up on the fixture list, an improvement in Fulham, and that it will just be a one-off. And look, Manchester City are going to win the league, aren't they? And Fulham are trying to battle to get away from the bottom. So hopefully from a Fulham case, it's just okay, forget that one and, the fight starts again next time. In fact, it's a game between Fulham and Leeds coming up fairly shortly, isn't it? That'd be a big dearly departed game, that one. There's your Fulham team. Areola, Teti, Anderson, Adrabio, Iain, Lamina, Reed and Grisa, Lookman, Loftus-Cheek and Cavaliero. So, look, one thing that is important is that Fulham, despite the fact that they've lost this game fairly heavily in the end, albeit with a couple of mistakes, so, I mean, you can make some kind of argument, however reasonable or not, that if those 2 mistakes don't happen for the last 2 goals, it's a bit tighter than it looks. But, hey, maybe I'm clutching a little bit there, guys. Maybe I'm being a bit too pro Fulham with that stance. But they've kept the team consistent and they're keeping things rolling on. And look, plenty of better teams than Fulham will lose to Manchester City and have lost to Manchester City. Ederson in goal for City. John Stones, Diaz, Laporte, Cancelo and Mendy, Silva and Rodri, Jesus and the great Sergio Aguero in the starting lineup there and on the score sheet. The Ferran Torres. I think we can call him a Premier League great now, can't we? Annoyingly for Fulham, it's a set play that they, go behind to in the second half as well. So maybe I am just guilty of accentuating the positive too much. But it's Manchester City. Lose a set play to West Brom. You expect Man City carve through or what have you. But John Stones gives them the lead, crossed in from the left-hand side. And then it's mistakes. Cavaliero comes back, gives the ball away. Anderson tries to sort of rectify it, sliding in. Then they get the bounce. And Jesus running in behind and in the end goes around the keeper and rams it into the net. And then Adrabio gets caught on the ball and takes down, is that Torres, 21. Sorry, I'm really struggling with my player numbers here today. It's been a long weekend, hasn't it? And there is the penalty by Sergio Aguero, scorer of many Premier League goals. And here is another one for him. So, look, if I really want to go pro Fulham on this, we say, set play and a couple of mistakes. But then when we look at the numbers, no shots on target for Fulham, 4 big chances for Manchester City. Yes, 2.39 to 0.26 on the XG. So, however things occur, it is still a heavy victory there for Manchester City. And honestly, with Fulham, I mean, just park it and move on. Could have been worse this weekend. Only could have been worse in one way. Because Brighton won, didn't they? And Burnley won. And so actually it is a bad weekend for Fulham, isn't it? It could have been worse if Newcastle had have won. And a lot of people were thinking, look, it'll be Newcastle that Fulham catch if they're going to catch anyone, not Brighton, given, kind of the underlying things we looked at. I did a video on this, who will go down from the Premier League. Check that out on elsewhere on the channel. So the gap is 2 points. Newcastle have a game in hand. On their points per game, that game is worth 1 point to them. So essentially, you're looking at Fulham needing to make up 3 points on Newcastle at some point over these last 9 games. It will be for Fulham. Man City, forget about them. They're off in the distance, 14 points clear, closing in on another Premier League title. And we will hope, with our dearly departed hats on, that the Fulham trend upwards that we were experiencing will continue. Get your thoughts in. Fulham 0, Manchester City 3. And away we go again. It's Crystal Palace versus West Bromwich Albion. And Palace win this one 1-0. And there's a sense now that the season is getting away from Big Sam. It's Hodgson against Allardyce. They've both managed Palace and they've both managed West Brom. So it all feels very, very familiar in terms of experienced, knowledgeable managers that are used in these positions. It's just Hodgson's been in there and got things sorted for much, much longer at Palace than Allardyce is having the chance to here at West Brom. And they go down 1-0 in this one. Johnston in goal. Furlong, O'Shea, Bartley, Townsend. So O'Shea keeping his place over Ajayi, despite the latter's sort of prowess from attacking set plays, which I thought Big Sam might like. There you go. Yokuslu is the pivot there. Pereira and Phillips wide. Gallagher and Maitland-Niles. Diania. So one good thing for West Brom. The team is settled. He's got his team. Obviously, the bad thing is they're losing games. They're not scoring points. They're not scoring goals either, which is a big issue. That must be a few shutouts in a row now, because we did the Newcastle game, didn't we? And prior to that, I think it was the home defeat against Everton. So I don't think they've scored in 3. And you know about Big Sam. It's about fine margins and clean sheets. But you need that one goal in your goals for column, don't you? Else you ain't going anywhere fast, especially if you're below points per game parity, which they already are. Gaeta in goal for Palace. Ward, Koyate, Cahill, Van Aanholt, Eze, Riedvald, Milivojevic, Ayew, Benteke and Zaha up top. You can see a fair few injuries there for Palace as well. Here's the goal. I mean, here we go again. I think that's referee Hooper checking on the VAR. And I mean, the law says arm in unnatural position, which doesn't quite account for a player sort of leaning in, or his body in unnatural position. Your body's not in unnatural position if you're trying to get your chest in the way. But look, I think Furlong is bang to right. So you can see Wilf Zaha just peering around Maitland-Niles to see where his cross is going. And it's a handball. And here comes Milivojevic. Nice technique on the pen. Steps left. Angles the run up. Kind of sends Johnston the wrong way, like he's going to cut back across, and then just with the side foot, with the instep, instead of cutting across, just curves it into the corner of the same direction he's running in. Good goal. Probably a bit of an over-elaborate description of a penalty, but he sticks it in the back of the net. And that's all she wrote, or all it needed. Sorry, I remember someone getting very annoyed with me saying that's all she wrote. Let me say that's all she wrote for the pictures that we've got up in this game. Annoying one for Big Sam, because you know that they'll sit in after the penalty, and you can see only 12 shots to 6, but look, only one of those on target for West Brom. So it's goals, it is finishing. 2 big chances to 0. Only 0.67 on the XG. And maybe an oversimplification here, but there is a big sense that there's not enough balance in terms of defence versus attack in this West Brom team. Ergo, there's not enough goal threat. They're not scoring enough goals. And they're sinking now, aren't they? They're sinking. We thought we were seeing a trend up, but it's going to take a 3 wins in 4 type thing to really push the needle on this one. There are Palace. Good win for them. Look, 37 points. Good weekend for Palace, and Burnley and Brighton all winning those teams, those wily old teams that, well, I suppose we include Brighton latterly in that, but certainly Burnley and Palace, who know what to do in terms of staying in the Premier League. Sadly, West Brom have all too often been the team that's gone down and come back up, and gone down and come back up. And here we go again now. So 10 points adrift. Newcastle have that game in hand. It's only 3 wins this season. And again, I'll draw your attention to the shots on target, the big chances, the XG, things of that nature. And obviously the goals scored column is not looking good for Big Sam. But we'll see. He's proved many of us wrong before, and he'll have to go some now because it's looking like it's ebbing away. Palace 1, West Brom 0. Thoughts in the comments, please, guys. Oh dear. Leicester 5, Sheffield United 0. Now, for most of the season, I've gone into my Sheffield United voice, which is resigned because of just not being scoring any points, and everything kind of collapsed this season. But this weekend, it's gone to new levels with whatever you say about this season, with club legend, frankly now, Chris Wilder, seemingly having disagreed and it become untenable between him and the Prince, the ownership there at Sheffield United, and even the way it occurred, this Wilder leaving on Friday, and we're hearing about it and nothing's being said, and nothing's press conference cancelled, nothing's said all day Saturday, and turns out Paul Heckingbottom's getting a COVID test, which, as far as when I've seen my missus who works in a school, that takes 30 minutes, not 1.5 days. So announced on the Saturday night that Wilder was finally gone, even though we'd all known about this without necessarily having it officially confirmed. And it's sad. And I know I always criticise football fans for emotions, but, and I've done a whole video on this, I was there. I covered, obviously, Sheffield United a lot in 18-19 in that race with Leeds for second place behind Norwich, and it was a great story, and I know what it meant to those Blades fans, the ex-player, the fan, the manager, the crazy rise up. So it's just sad when these things end, isn't it? I know that is the nature of our being. All things have to end, don't they? But yeah. And then for this type of collapse in the very next game, you can see the players. How can you cope mentally if you're a player? I mean, they may have known ahead of us, but when you hear Paul Heckingbottom then coming and saying, when he's asked about Jason Tindall, who's coming in to help for the rest of the season, I don't know when Jason's coming. I think he's here tomorrow. And, I was doing the 23s yesterday and I've come in this morning. And then Billy Sharp's gut-wrenching interview afterwards. You can kind of understand why the players were not really in a fit state here. And yes, I do need to acknowledge that they've not been good enough all season, these players, but they've kind of just gone under slightly feebly in a lot of the games, been tight games, and they've just, not been good enough. Whereas this one was a proper horrible collapse, wasn't it? Let's not labour it too much. There's your team: Ramsdale, Brian Ampadu, so Basham is in there. No O'Connell, no Egan, Baldock and Stevens wide, Lundstrom, Norwood, Fleck, Sharp and Burke up top. And I suppose if you really want to post-mortem it, therein lies the problem, in that they've essentially relied on those same players that dragged them from League One all the way to the Premier League and didn't add enough quality or the right type of players at the right time in the right way. Post-mortem that, I've just listened to the Blades pod, which is excellent. Go and check that out. They'll talk about it way more articulately than I am now. Schmeichel in goal for Leicester, Fofana, Evans, Soyuncu, Castagna, Pereira, and Didi, Tielemans, Perez, Vardy, and Iheanacho, who's going to get the hat-trick here. Let's do it nice and quickly. Iheanacho tap in from the Vardy cross there. Perez, edge of the box, could finish into the corner. Vardy again on his backside there. He's laid that across the box. Iheanacho, another one. This one outside of the box. Early shot by Iheanacho to Ramsdale's left. Own goal here by Ampadu. Vardy causing trouble again, as he tends to every game he plays. And it's 5-0. Ouch. Ouch. And it's horrible. Any stat, 8 big chances. 4.36 on the XG. Now, even those people who like to yell and scream and cry about XG and big chances, let me tell you, we don't ever, or very, very rarely, obviously we do because we've seen it here, 8 big chances. That is, that's gnarly. You're into, Man United 9, Ipswich 0, or Southampton 0. Or was it 9-1 there? I can't remember. Been 2 9-0s against Southampton or 9-1s. No one ever gets to the 10 to get that Ipswich stain off. But yeah, just horrible stuff for Sheffield United. Look, they've got 14 points. They're going down there, 0.5 points per game. But, and well done Leicester, third position, looking really, really strong now, 5 points ahead of Chelsea in those Champions League spots. But it just feels now, and I said on the last show, Dearly Departed, talking about Sheffield United, I was in the mode of, okay, build the championship team for next season. Let's see Lowe and Bogle and Brewster and McBurney and Ramsdale and whoever. Let's get the championship. If you're a Sheffield United fan, you would say as optimistically as you could, let's see our promotion team start work early now, and it can't get much worse. And let's get this going and building. And now, you just don't know what's going to happen, because why would you bring in Jason Tindall to help if you were going to hire a manager pretty soon? It kind of looks like Tindall and Heckingbottom, and no stain on these guys. They've just been brought into a bad situation short term. I don't really know what you're expecting, unless Heckingbottom in the end gets hired, which I'm sure would irk Blades fans in terms of ambition, because, obviously he's managed at Barnsley and at Leeds. Do well for Barnsley. But look, I don't think that's going to happen. But if you're waiting now till the end of the season, it's all these comparisons with Norwich and how Norwich went down and kept with what they were doing. The key difference is that Norwich saved their pennies for a rainy day, which was the championship. Look, there could be the argument that they've already got the championship players there and that will be enough to carry them home. But the way that Norwich were able to strengthen at the start of this season and, sort of add Dowell and Hugill and Plachetta and Skip and Gibson and two left backs, they were ready to go. And I just now wonder whether Sheffield United are or aren't. But there you go. I've done a separate video on Chris Wilder. So good luck to him. I've thoroughly enjoyed watching him as Sheffield United manager. He's been absolutely brilliant in the main. And, I've seen some really great moments there. I'm not a Sheffield United fan, obviously, but you can't help but get swept along when those moments happen. And I was present for a few of them. That's the emotional side of it. The business side of it is that they've got to get a new guy in, and they've got to get promoted back next season. That's the deal when you go down from the Premier League, isn't it? Anyway, comments in probably more on Sheffield United's plight rather than an abject, mentally fragile 5-0 against Leicester. Thanks again to Jay. That's our show, so we need to thank Jay. Dearly Departed, also known as Ben, couldn't bear to lose. As Jay has got in and involved over on Patreon. You can do the same Patreon exclusive shows. In fact, today, indeed, and if you're a Sheffield United fan, actually, because we cover a Sheffield United game classics reviewed Patreon exclusive show, and we are looking at Sheffield United versus Manchester United, the first week of the Premier League. We're looking at Man City 0, Luton 1 in 1983, Ready and Teach, and we're looking at Troy Deeney and Watford 3, Leicester 1 in that mental playoff game, 2012, I think. I'll get my ears all in a muddle. But have a think about subscribing on Patreon as well. Predictions go down there, the quick predictions, and the Thursday Q&A, which is one of my favourite parts of the week. Apologies again for being sort of a day late. It's been a very, very busy weekend. I normally do 3 streams across Friday night, Saturday day and Sunday. But when all these managerial stuff and changes going, and I'm battered by the news cycle. It wasn't as bad as when Paul Lambert went on Friday night and I caught up, and then Darren Moore went on the Saturday morning into Sheffield Wednesday. That was even worse. So look, we're still going. We're still here. And I appreciate your support. And I really appreciate your comments. So get them in there. Thank you, everybody, for watching Dearly Departed round 28. And it's a big over and out from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button to see more videos from this channel. Hit the subscribe button and to be notified every time we upload. Ring the bell for those notifications to come through on your device. If you really want to support the channel and me as a content creator, I will be eternally grateful if you head over to the merch store and grab something, or support over on Patreon, patreon.com/Dearly Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for your time. Go and watch another video.